I want you to picture something. A beautiful wedding hall, maybe somewhere in Negombo, all lit up for a big celebration. The chairs are out, the music is playing, but it's half empty. Something's missing. And it's not just the guests, it's an entire generation. That empty space, well, that tells the story of where Sri Lanka is right now, at a massive crossroads.
You know, when you hear about new census data, it's easy to just think of it as a bunch of boring numbers on a spreadsheet. But this latest data from Sri Lanka, it's not just numbers. It's a story, a warning even. It's a mirror reflecting millions of quiet, personal decisions that are now shaping our country's future. And to really get what's happening, we have to look past the charts and into the lives being lived every single day. So let's meet Nadisha and Kasun. They're just like so many young couples you and I know. They're in love, they're ready to build a life together, but they're waiting. They're completely stuck. Not because they have doubts about each other, but because their future is blocked by this giant wall of financial hurdles that just feels impossible to get over.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? This is the new reality. The biggest questions aren't, do we love each other anymore? Now it's, can we even dream of a down payment? How could we possibly manage a car loan? Where can we find a decent place to rent that won't kick us out in a year? Love is actually the easy part now. It's building the life that's become the real struggle.
And when you zoom out from Nadisha and Kasun's story, you see this staggering number. Almost 42% of Sri Lankans have never been married. Now, this isn't people rejecting marriage. No way. It's a nationwide postponement, driven by an economy where all those traditional steps into adulthood just feel completely out of reach for so many.
What's happened is that marriage itself has totally changed. It's become less of a romantic promise and more like a business merger. You've got this new, unspoken checklist: a house, a car, solid finances. And if you can't tick those boxes, getting married feels less like a beautiful leap of faith and more like just being reckless.
And okay, for the couples who do manage to get married, a whole new challenge pops up. Can we afford a family? And this number, 1.3, is the country's quiet answer. To put that in perspective, a country needs a rate of 2.1 just to keep its population stable. So 1.3, that number represents thousands of tough, heartbreaking conversations happening at dinner tables all over the island.
Just imagine a young couple in a tiny apartment in Colombo. They both have to work full-time just to make ends meet, but those two jobs leave absolutely no space, no time, and definitely no energy for another child. The math just doesn't work, so they're forced to choose. Maybe one child, or, more and more often, none at all. The dream of a big family gets sacrificed just to survive.
Now, let's shift gears and look at the other side of this story, our parents' and grandparents' generation. Think of someone like Soma Nona, living in her village home. Her kids have moved overseas for jobs, a story we all know too well. This growing loneliness is hitting women the hardest who, as you can see here, already outnumber men. It's creating this silent, lonely majority.
And on top of that gender gap, you have this absolutely stark reality. Almost half of all women over 65 are widowed. They're living longer, yes, but they are increasingly living alone. The extended family, the very bedrock of our culture, is now stretched thin across oceans and time zones, leaving our elders more isolated than ever before.
And this leads to a really painful truth about how we've started to see our elders. Somewhere along the way, we've started to mistake their experience for an expense, their wisdom for a burden. We tell people to stop working at 60, to step aside, when they have so much knowledge and life left to give. It's just a tragic waste of our most valuable human resource.
So as we piece these stories together, the young couple who can't get married, the parents who can't afford a second child, the lonely grandmother, a much bigger picture starts to form. You see it, right? These aren't just a bunch of individual problems. This is a national crisis. These are all warning signs that the very fabric of our society is tearing because our systems just haven't kept up with our lives.
But here's the thing. This is not where the story has to end. In fact, this is the turning point. Because hidden inside every single crisis is an opportunity. There's a blueprint for how to rebuild, how to renew, and how to create a future that actually works for all of us.
So, what does that renewal even look like? Well, we can imagine it built on 4 powerful pillars. A kind of master plan, not just to patch up today's problems, but to totally redesign our society for the world we live in now. The first pillar is all about making it possible to just start your adult life. Imagine if Nadisha and Kasun could get a home loan that was actually based on what they earn. Imagine if affordable transport could connect them to better jobs. What if renting a place meant you had real security?
If we can fix this first big step, then everything else can start moving forward again.
Pillar 2. This is about making family possible again. What if having a child didn't feel like putting your career at risk? This means building a real support system. Great, affordable daycare centers in every town. Real financial help for young families, and workplaces that understand parents are also people. When you actually support families, birth rates go up naturally, because it's a real choice, not something forced.
Pillar 3 is about rebuilding that human connection. What if Soma Nona had a buzzing senior center to go to every day? What if she had the choice of living in a retirement community that was built for dignity and connection, not just existence? You can really measure a society by how it treats its elders. This is how we get our heart back.
And finally, Pillar 4. This one needs us to completely flip the script. We have to stop seeing our aging population as a burden, as an expense, and start seeing it for what it really is, a massive, incredible opportunity. This is the beginning of what people are calling the silver economy.
And this silver economy isn't just some fancy term. It's a huge, untapped market. Just think about it. New industries in healthcare and tourism for seniors. Technology designed to make life better. And imagine flexible jobs where our experienced retirees can mentor the next generation. The potential is absolutely enormous for both our society and our economy. And that brings us to the choice that is right in front of us.
This census data, it's like a mirror. And in it, we can see two very different roads ahead. Down one path, we just keep doing what we're doing, a slow contraction, a nation that gets old before it ever gets the chance to get rich. But on the other path, there's reinvention, a Sri Lanka that is brave enough to redesign itself for the world we live in today.
The difference between those two futures isn't some accident of fate. It's action. It's choice. The wedding halls can be full again. The sound of children can fill our homes. Our elders can live with the dignity they've more than earned. But it only happens if we, all of us, decide to build a country that actually supports the lives we all want to live.
This analysis is based on insights by Janeth K. Chaturanga and data from the Department of Census and Statistics Sri Lanka.